2026.
No.
Sponsored by Home Depot.
Hey.
Is it really?
Yes. Everything changes up, but soccer, a lot of people don't understand is like, because Apple's actually charging a surcharge fee on top of whatever they're getting billed for their marketing.
Is Trump for TikTok now, or is he still?
I don't know how Joe Rogan does it though. He's like all over the place. I want to ask him about Zillow iBuying. Do you remember Zillow iBuying? TCPA is passing a 1-to-1 consent where you're actually going to have their consent. So,
I'm really big on kissing hands and shaking babies.
or kissing babies, shaking hands.
Wait, what?
You don't do a Hawk Tua, do you?
No. Not at our company.
No. So Tara, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, okay.
We're going to put you on the hot spot.
Yeah, so...
Or we could play 21, what is it, 21 or 20 questions?
You do 21 questions, fire them off, go.
We'll fire them off. Football or soccer?
I played soccer, but I like football more.
Oh, okay.
Or are you talking about, what do you call it?
Like football.
Football. It's soccer.
Yeah. So you like soccer better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a win.
Yeah.
Do the little check mark ding thing right there.
Ding.
Ding.
Editing.
Yeah.
Editing purposes.
Yeah.
Gary.
My next question. Independence or Succession?
The title company?
Yeah.
Succession title.
Okay. Next question.
Next
Just teed that up. Yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
A liberal arts college in Oklahoma.
Okay. Does it make you liberal?
No. Absolutely not.
I had to ask that.
There was art kids and athletes. I guess you can guess what side I was on.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
always like jocks and nerds.
Yeah.
right?
It was like
Except-
high school all over.
Yeah.
Like the theater kids had their own table.
Yeah. When I went to school, I mean, I was a nerd, but I was also a jock. Like I was the super jock nerd that everybody was like, gosh, why don't you believe in more liberal ideology? And I'm like, because it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why?
I'll just say I picked the college I went to, and I mean, obviously I was recruited there, so that was nice, but I went because we were badass at soccer. It was a great program.
What college was it?
University of Science and Arts of Oklahoma.
Okay. So I asked because I played soccer for 23 years.
Oh, okay. What position?
I played central mid. So I was a center mid.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I want to play center mid. I'm like, no, you don't.
No.
They're like, why? I'm like, because you play both sides of the ball. And they're like, ah.
Yeah.
I'm
God.
like, gosh, dirty jokes. Stop.
No, it's
Just
true.
stop.
It's true. Yeah, I was more offense. I started left wing, and then I played like center forward.
Okay.
My first year in club, I was I don't even know, like, why can't I think of the name now? Just like left defender.
You were left wing, yeah.
Yeah.
Or-
No, I was like, so we ran like a 3 or 4 back.
yeah.
So we had like 2 sweepers and then like 2 outsides. So I was left because I've got a killer left foot, or
Yeah.
I did. I haven't tried in a while. Maybe I could try to kick something around here later.
Yeah, kick Gary's
But
cowboy hat.
My first game when I was playing left back, I tore a girl's ACL.
You were that
So I
fast, you
was
couldn't
like-
keep up.
It was the way she fell over me is what the ref said.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The EMTs were looking at me kind of dirty though.
So, Gary, do you know what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, dude, I'm half Colombian, of course.
Well,
It's in my blood.
so you going to the World Cup, planning on World Cup trip
No.
2026?
No.
Sponsored by Home Depot.
Is it really?
Yes.
That's
Home
interesting.
Depot is the like major sponsor of the World Cup. It's kind of sad.
I wonder if Mexico had something
I
to do
thought
with
that they were the major sponsor of College Game Day.
They are too. Isn't that kind of
Deep
like
pockets.
the ideology on that's like Home Depot going to sponsor a national like event or international event that's played by predominantly brown people? Like,
I mean, marketing-wise, it's very smart.
Who spends most of their dollars in Home Depot? Brown people.
I mean, I was just there the other day, so not lying on that one.
I've spent a lot of money there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I want to make a trip to the actual World Cup.
What's
Like,
what's y'all's favorite women's sport to watch?
volleyball?
Sensible answer.
I'd say softball.
So,
College softball.
really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't watch women's sports, to be honest with you. Okay, let's back it up. MMA.
Okay.
Women's
MMA. What was
I mean, that's kind of like the forgotten sport of like women, right?
Oh,
like
for
you got
sure. But like one of the
Gina Carrasso. Or,
one of the intro fights before Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fought, those two girls that duked it out,
No,
fucking
they went at
badass.
it. Yeah, they went at it.
Dude,
badass.
that one girl's eye like
I thought she was
fell out
gonna
of her
die.
socket.
That was insane.
And then the Irish girl, I was like, ban her, like kick her
Yeah.
off and all that. And then she got not a violation, but like the ref was like checking her up.
Falta.
Falta.
Yeah,
As they would say
she kept
outside.
like
No
headbutting
no
her.
penal.
Yeah,
Women's golf. I'm gonna go with women's golf.
Ooh.
Love watching women's golf.
yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. Both men's golf and women's golf both put me to sleep. Those are like
Yeah.
my bedtime stories.
Yeah.
Perfect Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agendered on that.
See,
but
mine's baseball. Like I cannot watch baseball.
Even with the time clock change?
It's too slow. I mean, I played soccer for 23 years. I mean, you know how fast soccer is.
Yeah.
And everybody like says soccer's so boring to watch, and I'm like, really? It's because you're not actually playing. Like, go play it and tell
Yeah.
me how exhausted you are after running 90 minutes to then have to run another 15 minutes
Yeah.
for two halves, still not scoring, and do a penalty shootout. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, but for the viewer, it's like there's not a lot of excitement with soccer.
it's because there's not a lot of scoring. But we had this debate with the other guys too. Is like football's better because it's higher scoring, but in reality, it's not. It's still like 3-2 or 4-3. Like,
Yeah.
still not that high scoring. They're just making up these magical numbers. It'd be like if a goal from outside the 18-yard box was worth like 2 points.
Yeah.
Which would be I mean, that would actually make soccer really
That'd be fun.
interesting.
I think you've got like the mix of like offense, defense, and special teams with football that makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, different tactics, different skills,
Yeah.
different plays. Everything changes up. But soccer, a lot of people don't understand is like it's all about formations. It's all it's all triangles and squares. Like, yeah, I was talking to one of my buddies the other day.
Back
Yeah.
in.
I was talking to one of my buddies the other day, and he's like, "What
back.
advice would you give to my high school son who's playing soccer? Because he's having a hard time understanding like formations and stuff." I told him, I said, just
Cardio.
understand squares and triangles. He's like, really? I was like, that's all it ever is.
Yeah.
It's about making those formations because you'll put defenses in these positions where it's like 3-on-2 or 3-on-1 or 2-on-1, like
Yeah.
because you have that formation.
Yeah.
And the ball always travels faster than your feet.
You ever play indoor?
I did.
Futsal?
I did play futsal. We used to play. I haven't played futsal, but we played indoor when it used to be at Northwoods. We used to go and play. I'm old, so I mean
Yeah.
Northwoods. That was like 2010, 2009, when they used to have like their open recreational league.
Yeah.
A skating rink now or something?
Now they've always had the ice rink, but now they turned it into like D3 training, which is like athletic training. So they don't really have open play anymore. They don't have the leagues that they used to. And I actually tore my plantar fasciitis at the other one over off of Pat Booker, so I will never go back there again.
That's why I don't play sports.
Great facility. It looks cool, but there's absolutely no padding under that turf, and that
Yeah.
turf just grabs your foot. So like I went to like literally pivot, and when I planted my right foot, the turf just grabbed it. And when I try and pivot off the right foot, it just like popped it. Like instant pain, instant tingling up your
burn,
the burn. Pulled my sock off. It was already all purple under my foot. I was just like, yeah, this is.
I'm
I
done.
mean,
I'm
at
done.
almost 40, like you don't want to be putting your body through those positions.
We need our legs.
Yeah, we need our feet.
So there's back to baseball. Baseball. I don't watch that anymore because I don't need any more in my life to be frustrated about. And baseball is so frustrating for the simple point, and it's a big one, that why are they still using umpires behind the plate when we have a ball track?
Right.
You know, like it's
Because
clearly
Jerry West was that good.
like we use AI for everything else, but yet they show the batter's box on TV, and it's obviously not a strike, but the umpire calls it a ball or vice versa, and it's just so frustrating because especially if it's your team, you know, they're just shitting on us, honestly.
Why do baseball teams have a manager? Why do you need skipper?
It's a good question.
I
mean,
it's the same thing. You still need the human touch.
Every tribe needs a chief.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does.
Our chief was late today.
You're never going to live it down. I'm buying companies and making moves, starting tidal waves.
Yeah,
That's what it's about.
Speaking of title,
A little bit about me. Computer science engineer. or computer science major for software engineering. That's where the super nerd comes into play. Is everybody's like, I never knew you were so into computers. I'm like, yeah, I write in 8 different languages. And they're like, holy shit, like we'd never expect that from you. I'm like, yeah, I do.
Well, if it's any consolation, I totally expected it.
Yeah, I'm just a super nerd. So they're like, can you hack my phone? I'm like, sure. They're like, no way. Then all of a sudden their screen's moving around and they're like, their phone's shutting off and they're like, oh, you suck.
That's crazy.
Do you remember the iPhone trick that came out, like where the guy developed and found the bug within the query keyboard inside of Apple's devices, where basically it was like a /www/ then like a question mark, and you would text that code or that phrase to people, and it would literally shut their phones down because the phone could not read it. Like it was something with actual recognition of the text and the keyboard that it literally was a hard code for a hard reset on the device.
That's sick.
So we used to send that to people all the time, and their phone, like they'd open it and be like, shit, my phone's restarting.
Was that around the time they actually hacked FaceTime?
It's probably right about the same time.
Yeah.
So, because Apple used to have so many issues. I love my Apple more than I do my Android because it's not an open network like Android. Like Android, anybody can go to the Google store and put an app or an extension or whatever they want to do into the actual Google store, whereas Apple is more restrictive.
Right.
It's why a lot of like digital advertisers too are starting to like not want to do advertising with like TikTok and Facebook and stuff like that, because Apple's actually charging a surcharge fee on top of whatever they're getting billed for their marketing. So like, for example, if you run Facebook ads for your business, you're going to pay like $30 to $40 extra for those Facebook ads because Apple has to have their cut too.
Yeah.
And that's just for checking out through Apple.
Yeah.
Like I used to do TikTok ads for my real estate business all the time. And it was like $35 extra that you would have to pay TikTok in order to run that because of Apple. So it's super, super crazy.
That's
where
sucks.
I mean, there's even real estate softwares out there that will not put marketing into their apps. So you have to literally be on a desktop in order to check out for like marketing stuff.
Yeah.
Like you want to have them run Facebook ads or Google ads or do this and that. Like they will not put it because Apple wants like 30%.
So is Trump for TikTok now, or is he still?
I think he's pro TikTok, mainly because he is, it helped him. He thinks it helped him win because his popularity rose with Gen X Z or whatever you call it nowadays. I don't even know where the hell
I think like Gen X and then like Alpha, whatever it is.
What are you, like Gen Z?
I'm probably Gen Z.
You're Gen Z. Mm-hmm. And you're
whatever 88 is.
Hey, we're millennials then.
Millennials.
Yeah. So you and I both, we're about a year apart, but yeah, it's gnarly, dude. Like,
but he was saying like, he was like, Barron was like giving him shit about it. And then he was like, Dad, you don't know who so-and-so is? Like, come on. And he's like, for that. Yeah. But it makes sense. Like, 'cause it's all about like polls.
He says that Barron put him on to Joe Rogan, but I'm like, dude, you've been following like UFC. You should have known Joe Rogan already by
at least the podcast
that time.
part.
So yeah, but I mean, he might not have had ever had any interactions or watched the actual podcast. I don't know how Joe Rogan does it though. He's like all over the place. He's at he is at every UFC event. And then he's dropping like an episode per day on his podcast.
A really awesome guest. I like that he asks.
Really, really awesome
He gets guests on both sides too.
You know who I want to get on our show?
Spencer
Reskoff, the ex-CEO of Zillow. You know what I want to ask him?
I'm not going to guess, but I probably could.
I want to ask him about Zillow iBuying. You remember Zillow iBuying?
2018.
Remember when it came out? You know why it failed? Any hint?
Was it the lack of human touch? Was it the faulty AI? Was it the lack of valuation accuracy?
I think it was probably like the whole, not branding around it, but like the ideology of what they were trying to do, right? Like,
yeah. Well, it had a lot to do with the valuations, right? So they were basically kind of
Zestimates.
The Zestimates that came out leveraged algorithms based off of not just locality, but I guess you would call it locality. It wasn't specific to like just a zip code. And they essentially tried to isolate their home valuations based off zip code. Well, like 78247, for example, has homes that start at like 180,000, but then you have homes that are upwards of like 420,000. So in a true comparison, like as a realtor, you'd go into that listing appointment or when you're conducting a CMA, you're not going to pull those $180,000 homes. You're going to use everything that's within a quarter-mile radius or a tenth-mile radius. The closer you can get within that 9-month period, you're going to use that as a comparable. Yep. Well, their AI algorithm couldn't calculate and it couldn't account for that. So they were literally like off by upwards of 20%. So when you think about like iBuying, they were either overpaying, which was a lot of it. They were overpaying. And it just had a lot of flaws, right? Like a lot of the buyers and a lot of things just fell apart. Like you had to have somebody handle the transaction, which typically became a realtor. Yeah. So they still ended up paying fees in either a salary or a commission that they had to pay to somebody to handle that transaction.
Have you ever tried to run a CMA on ChatGPT? Can it do that?
It can, but it's not very intelligent. The problem with ChatGPT is that it was, and I don't know if it's still this way to this day, but with ChatGPT, it was, data was like pre-2021, so it wasn't up to date. So like in some cases, you can go say, hey, write me a neighborhood report about, let's just say Copper Canyon or Copper Ranch, and it wouldn't have enough data because it wasn't fully like built, right? Yeah. And I think Copper Ranch or Copper Canyon's been built before that, but just kind of as an example, that's basically what they would, use it for, right? Like ChatGPT just wasn't intelligent enough. It didn't have access to enough data.
So what about now?
Now, maybe so. So it might have enough data. It's able to search the web, which is nice.
Do you want to test it out? Do you have a listing that's recently sold that maybe we can...
Listing recently sold. Let's see here. 17222 Eldon Rock, San Antonio, Texas, 78247.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna say. Run a comparative market analysis.
But this is what ChatGPT says while you do that about Zillow's estimate. So the housing market slowed down due to rising interest rates and supply chain issues, creating mismatches between projected and actual resale prices.
What was the property again?
1722 Eldon Rock.
ELDEN?
Mm-hmm. ELDON. Eldon
Rock. Mm-hmm. San Antonio?
Yep. 78247.
Texas 78247.
This article says that the fallout, Zillow ended up laying off 25% of its workforce as a result of shutting down Zillow offers.
All right, I pressed enter.
The company sold off thousands of homes at a loss, destabilizing some local markets, and the debacle damaging Zillow's reputation as a tech-savvy real estate leader. I think that was kind of like the initial fallout. I feel like Zillow's been in a downward spiral since probably about 2019. And what's hilarious, I don't like the dog on Zillow. Tara's over here like, what are you dogging at Zillow so much? But if you pay Zillow, you deserve what might come. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
I've always, and this might be my tinfoil hat and my tinfoil radar going off, I've always been like, why would you pay such a large entity substantial amount of money? Like we're talking about like some of these zip codes for like 1 to 2 connections, as they would call it, were like $4,500 to $4,700 a month.
I mean, I know people who pay upwards of $100,000 a month.
Yeah. And it's not a bad way to build a business, right? Like if you are absolutely crushing it on Zillow, stay on Zillow. Yeah. Like continue. But the problem is that the moment that they get hungry, they flip the switch, right? The moment right now we're coming into this TCPA compliance where it's going to be 1-to-1 consent. I don't know if you've read about this or not, but January 25th or 27th, TCPA is passing a 1-to-1 consent where you're actually going to have their consent before you can contact them. So when you think about like expireds, and this simply applies to like robo-dialers, things like that, auto text, smart farms, whatever, or smart plans, campaigns, whatever you want to call them, you won't be able to actually auto text or auto dial somebody unless you actually have their consent, meaning they've opted in.
It's an amendment to the Spam Act, basically.
It's an amendment to the Spam Act, but this is where it gets really tricky, is that with that being said, it still doesn't, and don't take this as legal advice, it still doesn't take away the agent's ability to actually pick up their phone and dial the number, right?
Yeah.
That's a very, very gray area that they're still trying to work out. Now, if that gets taken away, think of like Zillow, and this is why I'm painting the picture, right? Like when you think about Zillow is the one getting the consent. Unless you work for Zillow or Zillow has an opt-in process that says Gary G will be calling you, you as the agent will not be able to actually contact that lead because you did not obtain consent. So I know it's a huge ordeal in like the real estate tech sector and things like that, because a lot of these companies are going to start to transition into like, we need that certificate. Yeah. It's going to create a certificate that attaches to that lead. It binds to them. It's going to follow them. And that agent now has consent to actually auto text, auto email, use an auto dialer. But without that consent, you can't do it.
So back to the property. What did it sell for?
$351.
Ooh. Considering the comps listed, the estimated market value of this address is likely in the range of $310,000 to $350,000. For more, and I like this.
That's a huge range.
Yeah, so you still got to do your math.
$40,000 range. 340, 339.
They went 11 over.
Because I'm a boss.
Damn right.
Damn right.
Damn.
But I like the
seller concessions.
None.
Damn.
I like the end. It says, for a more precise evaluation,
call Ernest or
consult a local real estate professional.
Call Ernest or Gary G. So why did Open Door and other iBuyers survive? This is actually a question. Like comparing Zillow's iBuying model to its competitors like Open Door, Redfin, and OfferPad. I don't know why Open Door is still surviving. That's to this day has like boggled my mind, other than I know that they actually employ real estate agents. Right. So
that's probably why.
They're going to go have an agent actually do a actual CMA. They got boots on the ground.
That's what I was going to say.
They're knocking doors saying, hey, I'm going to bring you a cash offer.
And no matter what the big wigs or the string pullers actually try to make happen to fill their own pockets, nothing is going to be as effective in sales than a belly-to-belly interaction with another human being.
Absolutely.
Even the kids that are coming up and having their panic attacks because they can't have their cell phones in their hands, they're just missing a little bit of love. Honestly, they're missing that acceptance. They're missing that inclusion. And so being able to have that, sales is sales 101, just having that belly to belly and just that interaction just goes so much further than the interaction with your phone. So it's going to take a lot of courageous people that are fighting against the grain to maybe start including these next upcoming generations who are just very lonely.
Well, I mean, you and I have discussed this at great length too. It's like the phones have just, I don't want to say dumbified everybody, but everybody's become addicted to that dopamine.
Yeah. It's like codependent,
It's like, oh, shoot, got a notification, got to check my phone. Mm-hmm. Like, I literally just did it. But
I mean, I've got like 3 notifications and you've like, just like looked because it's like, it's like brightened up and you're like looking over.
It's a disconnector, man. It's what it is. I mean, it's a faux connector.
Yeah.
It's designed to create that dopamine.
And then imagine when virtual reality actually becomes affordable, right? It's just going to be a constant stream of just like dopamine, just to be able to, avoid human contact.
Yeah. Can you imagine like, I mean, I know there's a company out there doing it right now, plug them. But they do open house, like not open house, but they do like virtual tours with Opus. Mm-hmm. I think is that the name of the?
I think so.
They do it with Opus, and they have people come into their office, and they're like, "You want to see these like they're manufactured homes of all things too. Yeah. It's not even like a single family residence; it's a manufactured home." And they literally do these virtual tours where they put the goggles on people, and they're like, "Oh wow, like this is crazy." I've even seen a home builder that has a digital footprint of their plans, and it's literally a huge warehouse, and they got a projector on the top of on the roof, and it literally shines down the floor plan, and the sales rep can like change which room like they're in as they walk to it. Like it's so wild.
Have you ever done the demo for the Apple Vision Pro?
I have not.
That is insane.
Really?
It is crazy.
Didn't you do it at the Apple Store?
I did. I did it at the Apple Store in La Cantera.
You had Beyonce or somebody in your face?
It was Alicia Keys.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Alicia, we did talk about this. So yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like you put them on, and there's a keyboard up there, and you can just like do this and be able to type somehow. You want to select an icon. It has cameras inside that watch your eye movement. So like it looks like your Apple iPhone screen, and say like I want to open photos. I just look at photos. It registers that I'm looking at photos, and then I just do this down here and it opens the photos up, and I can just like do this and go through the photos. It's crazy. Like I saw that part of the demo. You're in the studio with Alicia Keys, and her belly sweat's just like pouring off of her while she's singing, and you're just like right there, like literally 6 inches away from her belly sweat, and you're just like, oh my god, this is too real. They have a dinosaur part of it. Oh, dude, it's the whole thing. The whole thing is just, it's crazy to see like where the world is actually headed, and how like it's training the next generation to just accept it.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, most normal conversations, like I have conversations constantly every single day with realtors and title reps and lenders and yada, yada, yada. And there's just so many moments where I'm just like, all right, how do I skip to the next part of this conversation?
Yeah, that is true.
You know, could you imagine like closing a transaction virtually? Like you're I'm just saying, like, you're in your living room at home, just sitting on your couch with your, like, Oculus goggles on, your Apple Vision, and you're like, all right, here's the affidavit for Exhibit A. This is going to happen. Like,
I mean, we're already kind of leaning towards that because there are remote online notarizations. Yeah. Like, I'm a certified, like, Ron notary, so I could definitely do that. But the thing is, like, and lenders, y'all out there, talk to your people. A lot of lenders aren't getting on board. So cash sales, you can do it all day. Sellers, you can do it all day. But lenders still want the wet signed documents with the physical signature. And I know like they're worried about forgery and impersonation and all that because fraud is obviously out there. But we're definitely leaning towards that because the convenience aspect is huge. Yeah. Even like a hybrid closing, you sign, you know, half online, then half wet signature in front of a notary or the closer. It's all about the consumer experience.
Right. Yeah. I think that'd be wild, though.
Imagine, you put on your Apple Vision Pro for your closing, and you're just like walking through the beach to sit at a table right next to the ocean.
You got your Corona.
Without walking.
You got your Corona.
Yeah, you just
sit next to Snoop Dogg.
Not legally. Like, you don't go to closing. Like they wouldn't be able to control that. That'd be wild.
It'd be just insane.
You would have so many issues. You'd have like a stoner just sitting there smoking a doobie, like closing on his house. And be like, oh man, I wasn't in the right state of mind, bro. Like, what I did? Yeah. Like,
where do you want to close today? Strip club.
Let's close down on Miami Beach.
It's like the backdrops when you join like a Teams or a Zoom.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But it's wild. I mean, we think it's so wild with like where our technology is. But now, like, we're starting to hear stories about, like, drones and UFOs and UAPs. Like, this is starting to get super wild. So I actually went down the rabbit hole of, like,
it's a fun place.
What's in Antarctica. So have you ever questioned what's in Antarctica? Like, why people can't go there?
I mean, yeah, I've gone down the rabbit hole a little bit.
So do you know that the Nazis apparently were the first ones to ever have alien encounters?
Is that where they're at now?
I don't know. But apparently Hitler had a special voyage that he sent and departed troops down to Antarctica to explore because he had a experience or something along those lines that told him to go do it. And they never really came out and said what they found, but they found and had, I guess, interactions with people and things from out of this world.
Fallen angels.
Yeah. Well, it's so crazy too because like we think of like aliens, like you're gonna look up to the sky. Like, I mean, Ryan Garcia, going down the conspiracy hole here. Ryan Garcia has been like, they're in the oceans, guys. Like the aliens are under the water. Like they live under the water. They're down in the sea. And now History Channel of all people are starting to run like these episodes where they're saying like there are these huge tunnels in Antarctica where like once you go into them, it's so like preserved in ice, but there's like secret cities down there and there's like greenery, like there's flowers, plants, like there's under the ice. Yeah. And they're like 3 miles down. There's like all this vegetation. So there's existence of like there's life.
I feel like Ryan Garcia might be a shill because I feel,
you think so?
Because, you know, he just sounds insane. And even if he is right, if you have someone like him representing the truth, any normal folk without so many brain injuries is going to be like, yeah, this is fucking insane.
Well, here's where it gets wild, though. It's like, have you heard of Operation Highjump?
A little bit.
What do you know about it?
That basically what we're talking about, that we went into Antarctica to either discover aliens or another civilization, and it was an actual military operation.
Have you heard about Operation Highjump? Do you know what it is?
I've read a little bit into it. That they're like, when the U.S. went and I guess went to go see what the fuck was going on, that they took a large military presence. So it's like, were they expecting like a posed threat there?
Is there a NATO treaty also that prevents us from going without?
So there's a pact between like 12 countries that specify not one country will go and investigate without not like notifying the other parties. Yeah. But what's wild is, drawing a blank on the guy's name for Operation Highjump, but some admiral is an admiral. And he essentially said he risked it and flew one of the planes that he was flying into the tunnels. And when he flew his plane into the tunnel, that it was immediately, once he got like 100 or 200 yards into the tunnel, that it actually got taken over and they landed his tunnel. And that he has like such a recollection of like what happened. It's like so in depth. But when he talked about it, he was sworn to secrecy by the government, of course. And I guess now, several years later, his son or relative or somebody found his journal, and his journal is so detailed that like he described the vegetation and everything that he was seeing, said it looked like the Garden of Eden. Like it was gorgeous. And you wouldn't expect that to be under the ice.
Yeah, but it's like thinking about life on Mars, you know?
Is there life? But
is there Mars?
Is there a Mars?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point.
So I mean, I went down.
Is there a solar system?
Is there a solar system?
I mean, Milky Way, that's a candy bar.
There's that one guy that actually...
Richard E. Byrd, and it's Operation Highjump. So that's the Operation.
Admiral Byrd.
He spoke critically about an enemy that could fly pole to pole in incredible speeds. Could you imagine going from the South Pole to the North Pole in like a tenth of a second? Like the human body would just disintegrate at that speed because of the G-forces and the pressure that it puts on you.
Wouldn't that technically be just teleportation at that point?
At that point, I mean, you might as well consider that.
Yeah.
But his expedition, he flew into those tunnels, and he became censored by the government, downplayed by the government. I don't take anything non-factional when you think about like the Bible.
Yeah.
Like when it says the 4 points of the earth, like a ball can't have points.
Or it describes the firmament.
Or it talks about the waters separated from the firmament from the waters below. Yeah. Like I'm starting to more and more, as you see and hear these things, believe that maybe we do live in like a snow globe. I don't want to call it that but maybe we do live on like in a snow globe on a flat earth. You know, I flew out to Phoenix a couple weeks ago, and flying, like we're in the plane and we're higher than the moon.
Yeah.
And the moon is literally like right there. And I'm like, how in the hell are we higher than the moon if the moon is supposedly 14 million miles away or some stupid crazy thing like that? Like Tesla, or I don't know if it's Tesla, but there's a space shuttle or spaceship called the Parker, and it travels at 109 miles per second. The International Space Station is only like 300 miles away or something crazy like that. But if you Google it, it says it takes them 1 to 2 days to get there. I'm like, you're telling me we have a spaceship that goes 109 miles per second, and it takes us 3 days to get 300 miles?
The math's not mathing.
The math is not mathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am not suicidal. Just throwing it out there.
Just as calendar is.
Just my calendar. My calendar is straight garbage right now. But it's wild to think, like, you know, in Antarctica of all places, that there could actually be alien existence.
Did you see that dude that he's a notable flat earther with a huge following? He just went to Antarctica, and some Glober paid for his trip down there.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the actual part, bless you, part of his claim, but he said it was disproved based on because he said there was no 24-hour days in Antarctica. And if there were, then it would mean that the Earth was a globe. And so he went down there and there was a 24-hour day or something to that effect. And so he completely disowned his flat Earth theory.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because he saw the sun for 24 hours.
Something like that. So and I'm no dentist.
Yeah.
I'm not the smartest guy in the world. Right. But the way I see it, no matter what the flat earthers say, no matter what the globers say, if I don't see the Earth from, a bird's eye view, and I'm just not going to pick a side.
Right.
Honestly, because both arguments are very compelling. I grew up a glober. Would I call myself a flat earther now? I'm not going to commit to that. But, like you said, like even in scripture, it talks about how, the 4 points of the earth and, the firmament and, there's just certain, and I'm a Bibler.
Yeah.
Right. Like Bibler all day.
I Bible all day.
I Bible. Not as much as I should, but I Bible.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like.
It's on your bedstand. That's all that counts.
So he said
it's in my VR.
He said he saw like the angels at the 4 points of, the earth.
Yeah.
If it was round, you wouldn't see the 4 points of the earth.
Right.
The other science that doesn't really add up is like, if I fly out of New York and I want to fly to, let's just say, Europe, I'll fly east, right? I should fly east.
Mm-hmm.
But when you leave Europe, do you fly west? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because technically you're on the other side of the earth.
I mean, I've never really been at liberty to have cool vacations like you guys. So
you know what you should do is if you ever do have the liberty of going seeing the Red Devils playing in Manchester Stadium, which is like on my to-do list.
Right.
Screw Man City. Not a Man City fan at all. Manchester United. Anyway, take a gyroscope, right, with you and see if it flips, right? Because shouldn't you technically be flying west when you're leaving Europe?
Right.
Coming back to the States?
Yes. But it says east?
I don't know. It'd be a good test. Has anybody ever done it?
If any of you have ever done it, please say something in the comments.
Because if you start flying north... then you got some issues.
Right.
It's like,
because then the north would eventually become south if you're going
exactly
over the North Pole. So if you do this little number.
Right. Well, and think of it was like if the earth was flat, you would fly north to go to Europe, right? Because Europe would be above us.
Northeast, right?
If you're coming home, you'd be flying
southwest.
Southwest, somewhere around there.
Not a shameless plug for Southwest Airlines.
But it's so funny that there's so many people that like try to disprove like the globe Earth with like flight maps, which it is very questionable. It's like, why in the hell do I fly from New York to Seattle to fly to Russia?
Right.
Like, why couldn't I just fly from New York to Europe to Russia?
Right.
Like, why do I got to go to New York to...
Is that a flow of traffic argument?
It could be. I mean... But if you think about it, like some of these people are like saying, oh, well, this flight flying from point A to point B had an emergency landing and they landed like 16 hours out of the way when they could have just landed in Hawaii if the earth was round.
Right.
Like, why not just go to Hawaii if it's right there?
I'm no dentist.
I mean, I'm not a flat earther. I want to believe it, but I want to believe the earth is round too because I think astronomy is cool. I think it's cool as shit.
Yeah.
I want to see Pluto. I want to see Mars. Well, Pluto's not even a planet anymore, apparently.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I want to see Uranus.
You want to see Uranus. You don't want to see it right now.
There's no sun.
There's no sun in Uranus.
There's not enough light.
But I think it would be cool. It's just cool that we continue to like... It's a very, very tough situation.
Very gaseous.
I didn't eat lunch or...
Gaseous.
What do you think? You think theirs is round, flat?
I think there's a lot of theorists putting bullshit out there that they want people to buy into.
You think
and
so?
Some of you suckers get played.
Yeah?
I respect that.
Yeah.
That's like a little tease.
It's the whole thing, like, back to the Bible. Like Adam and Eve, like, who got Eve pregnant?
Right.
So look up the serpent seed on YouTube. There's a very interesting theory on there that before God cursed the serpent, he was actually an upright walking serpent, basically. And the apple was actually symbolic for, the forbidden fruit was actually symbolic for sexuality.
Yeah, I'm tracking.
And basically the serpent tempted Eve to be sexual. And that's what introduced that shame, because once she was introduced to sexuality, then she brought that to Adam, and then they became sexual. And there was also, to go along with that theory, is that's why Cain, she actually gave birth to twins, and that Cain was the offspring of the serpent, and Abel was the offspring of Adam. Yeah, serpent seed. It's a very interesting theory, and then that's why the serpent got cursed to slither for the rest of eternity.
But that's what really kind of like boggles my mind, though, too, is like you have a lot of these people out there who are like, oh, the four corners of the earth, that's hypothetical. Like that's not factual. And I'm like, if you can't take that as factual in the Bible, what else in the Bible is non-factual, like nonfiction, right? Or
fiction,
like fiction. Yeah.
Right.
What else in there do you take like not literally?
Yeah. So I think that, and this is going to stir some feathers. There's a little ruffler.
Get ready to ruffle your feathers. Tighten up your belt buckles.
Ready to ruffle some feathers. So I think global warming is bullshit. I think that God blesses godly lands.
Right.
And if global warming is real, it's another way to disprove or to attempt to throw a wool over people's eyes of the power of God.
Right.
Tell that to the polar bears.
Gosh. Dropping hammers. Gary, here's the hammer on your theory.
Poor little polar bears. They're running at homes.
Tell Coca-Cola to stop the...
It's like the people downtown that can't pay their taxes. They're just running out.
That's the hard part, man.
Empty.
That's what I struggle so much with Texas. Like, I mean, I'm born and raised here in San Antonio. True San Antonio native. Runs in my blood. I'm a Texan. You hear me? I'm from Tejas. You hear me? My great ancestors grew up along the Rio Grande River. They fought in the Battle of San Jacinto, the Battle of Alamo.
They still swim.
I was conceived there.
I was. My great grandmother was conceived there. Yeah. By Davy Crockett himself.
Oh, listen to George Strait Senior.
But it's so crazy. Like, just the differences. Like, we lived in Washington for 8 years because I don't know if I told you or not, but I worked in the tech sector for about 8 years. And in Washington State, our property taxes on our house were only like 0.75%. Whereas like here in Texas, it's like 2.25 or 1.5 to 3.5, somewhere around there. Yeah. Like, so on a $300,000 house, you're paying like $6,800 to $7,200 a year here in Texas. Up there on like a home that was $600,000, we were only paying like $4,600 a year.
You want to know why? It's an easy answer.
It's because the school sucks. Well, I mean,
supply and demand.
We also have
the education sucked there too, and you're not like. So everything was passed on a levy, right? So every year these ballots would go out, and the school district's like, hey, we're raising your taxes by a quarter per 100,000 or per 100,000, whatever it was. And all the old farts, excuse my language, all the old farts were like, hell no, I ain't got no kids. Like, you ain't getting money out of me. So it'd always get voted down. The schools were so understaffed. But what they did do, which was, I think, cool, was they went to a 3-day school week, which I thought was super brilliant. And it's funny because there's a lot of studies out there now. Even here in Texas, I think there's some districts here in San Antonio that actually do 4-day school weeks. And the kids are not only smarter, but I'm not saying other kids are stupid, but not only are they smarter, but they tend to develop and mature a lot better. They don't have like the same issues of kids that go to school 5 days a week.
Because they're around their families more.
Right. Yeah. I think family is important.
Yeah, that's family's number one.
I think, like when like COVID like spun out, right? Yeah. And everybody was doing school online. Like they were saying like that kids look to be smarter around that time
right.
when they were doing online schooling. And like, if you really delve into that and look at that, like that's insane to think about. Mm-hmm. Like, what is the educator doing at that point? But I think it's like I guess the mindset at home is better. Like they don't have as many distractions. I mean, a lot of kids have ADHD these days. So
why would a kid have 7 hours of school just to come home and do 3 to 4 hours of homework?
Yeah.
I think growing up as a kid, we were maybe a different generation, right? Like we grew up, and probably more you and I, where when we went to school, like you did your homework at school. Like they gave you time. Like they gave you time.
You had a study hall.
I remember being in soccer class. Like soccer was the first thing we did. So it was soccer. Then right after soccer, we had study hall. And our coach was like, you better get your damn homework done, kids, before you don't get to play on Friday night.
I was born during Alamo.
Yeah.
Study hall was a thing for like in my generation, like the kids that like missed an assignment or like failed an assignment. That was like their makeup hour. So like if you did like after school sports and you weren't doing well in school, you went to study hall rather than going to practice.
Well, and I don't even know how like the counseling works nowadays either. You know, like I remember like when I became a senior, my counselor was like up my anus into the right corner. Like I could not breathe without her being like, you got to do this. You got to complete this. Yeah, you're already, you're a senior and you only got to take like 3 classes because you've completed everything. Because like in San Antonio back in the day, you used to be able to do like all your electives, like your foreign languages in middle school, and they were high school credits. Like you could take stuff in advance, and I did. But it was like, oh, you got to do this, this, and this to pass. And I don't know that counselors are that involved with the kids nowadays. I think they're more so playing like...
Or else they're too involved.
Well, they're too involved, but they're not involved in the right things, right?
Exactly.
Like back when you and I went to high school, we didn't have this thing in our pocket. I mean, some of you might have, but if it was probably that old Nokia that had Snake. And, like, that's all you could play. It wasn't like, oh, shit, I got a text message or Facebook's blowing up. Like, we didn't have Facebook. Facebook came out in 2008.
2008, yeah.
You know what me and my fiance were talking about the other day? He mentioned that, and this never happened in my school. Like, I remember, like, if you were on your phone in class, like, your teacher could take your phone away. He went to school in Arlington. He would say that the teachers would keep their phones for like 3 days, and you had to pay them $15 on the 3rd day to get it back.
Oh, that's nuts.
How is that even legal?
Probably isn't.
It's not.
But the shit you could get away with back then, like
Texas.
It really is crazy.
Love it.
You know what we used to do in high school? Like we didn't have to worry about who was dating who, or I mean, well, some of that shit happened, but we didn't have to worry about like what was happening on Facebook. No. It was like
make kids grow up so fast.
I mean, we used to show up with vodka and water bottles for Pete's sake. Like
that's one way to grow up, I guess.
Let's get hammered here in English class and watch our teacher fall asleep in the front because the dude's like 72 years old.
That is insane.
Yeah, I remember
that's not a strong argument for not having phones in class.
His name was Mr. O'Brien, and he talked so slow. He would talk exactly, today, and he'd look around. We're going to read Beowulf.
Sounds like Winston Churchill.
And literally we would get like 5 pages in, and this dude's like, all right, Tara, go ahead and read chapter 1. And
yes, please let us popcorn read.
He's over on his desk like, and we're all like, hey, go steal the test. He's got the quiz on the desk. Go get it.
No, those are life skills.
I think your teacher was on opiates.
Those were life skills. He might have been. I mean, he was a cool-ass teacher, though, dude.
Most people on opiates are pretty cool.
I remember one day
until they're out of opiates.
One day we had an English teacher that used to have these soccer figures, like these human like the cardboard ones, and he used to jack it from her all the time. Be like, "Where's your Wayne Rooney or your Van Nistelrooy? Like, where's your pop up?" And she's like, "Oh, screw you."
I was in an all guys school for the first 2 years of my high school career.
That had to suck.
It was actually pretty cool.
He saw a lot of anuses.
In astrology class.
It was like a boys' locker room 24/7.
It was, man. It always stunk. Certain classes you could pretty much get away with anything. One of them we would get gummy worms, and when the old ass teacher, physics guy, would be scribbling out, we'd eat the gummy worms and throw them at the roof or throw them in the back. We'd throw hot sauce at the roof. It was
you know what was the fun one? It's like we used to have these popcorn ceilings in school like this. Not popcorn, but what are these
ceiling tiles?
Ceiling tiles. We used to sharpen the shit out of our pencils.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there'd be like 20 pencils just hanging down.
Get the rubber band with the paper clip and
yes.
You'd roll the paper up and you'd pull the rubber band down. And it was wild. I mean, I don't think kids do that nowadays.
No.
It's too much. It's retarded, but
they go to this.
Yeah.
This is their entertainment.
I mean, shit. Now
they do some pretty messed up stuff too, but it's like actually evil.
It's real evil.
What, like shoot up schools?
It's like, yeah, let's go hang Johnny. Let's go hang Johnny from the A-wing stairwell over there. Let's push him down the stairs
instead of like a wedgie or
from his anus.
Yeah, let's not go give him a wedgie or like. We did some shit though in high school. I'll tell you that. Like in soccer class, I remember we used to have a cop. His name was Booker. And he was an ex-high school track star and went to college for track. And probably some of my buddies are going to correct me. I think he went to high school for track. But he was a track star. He was really fast. But dude was like 290, like built. And the agreement between him and the soccer guys, because we had soccer first thing in the morning. So when we were getting out of soccer practice, it was only like 8:30 because we started at 6, was if you could beat me to Taco Express, because we went to MacArthur and like it was just a parking lot.
I know where that's
at. And then on the other side of the fence, we had Taco Express. Yep. So he was like, if you beat me there, just bring me a taco. So it was always like he'd see us, we'd drop our bags, and it's like, the race is on.
Dude, I could never dream of doing that at my age. I hate being out of breath.
I would be out of breath, passing out, falling down.
Like imagine being in your work uniform and you're like, oh yeah, I'm down to sweat right now.
Right.
Never have I ever.
Never. I mean, I'm always down for a good run, but I'm always down to play soccer, man. Somebody's got a soccer ball. It's like they're getting nutmegged or they're going to get the ball jacked from them, and I'm going to play keep away.
I love playing basketball, but I need my legs to work.
Dreams never die.
Yeah. My son the other day, it was hysterical because my wife was like, dude, you don't wear shorts and joggers under, like, because going back to high school, like I always used to wear shorts,
right? Same.
And then I'd wear joggers. And she's like, why do boys always do that? I'm like, because you never know when you're going to end up playing a game or having to like run.
Always keep a ball in the car.
The ball's in the car. Like we're about to go have a full-blown scrimmage over here in the parking lot of like CVS or something.
Some Old Spice and Bodman.
Yeah. And then at the end of it, we're going to buy a 12-pack from the corner store down off Thousand Oaks and go get hammered on Fogo Locos.
See, I didn't even drink until like I was 17. My first year in college.
Yeah, my first dabble with drinking was definitely senior year at a bonfire after like homecoming.
See, but that's like
I
a
thought
wild
I was drunk
thing.
after 2 Bud Lights. It's water.
It's like
water.
I don't want to lower the age for drinking, and I'm not admitting to underage drinking at all here on the show.
Nobody does that.
But by the time I was like 23, I was like drinking. Like I don't need to drink anymore. I did all my wild shit when I was young. Now I'm 30, and I'm like, dude, a drink for this pain might help, but I definitely don't need to go to no bar, and I don't need to be getting hammered.
A little bourbon and Flexerol.
Just a little.
I stubbed my toe on my desk. I gotta,
take some shots.
Get a little Kentucky Deluxe.
Gosh, goodness gracious!
Give me both. The cat was under the desk yesterday and fucking biting my toes and shit. So I got up and took off running and like jammed my toes on the edge of my desk.
Why'd you run from the cat?
I was gonna politely pick the cat up and put him outside of my office for biting my feet.
Oh, so you ran after the cat?
I ran after the cat.
It was a frustration run.
And the cat me up, dude.
Crossed your ass up like Messi.
Crossed my ass up like Sergio Ramos and Messi. Like literally just straight toes on the edge of the desk, like the metal bottom.
You're very accurate with your soccer references versus your football references.
Dude, I played soccer. Again, I played soccer for 23 years, grew up, played for Paul McGinley here in San Antonio with the Classic Elite. Played with the Austin Aztecs back when they were the USSL back in 2008.
Nice.
For about 6 months and then called it quits.
Yeah.
Ended up having a little obsession with dirt bikes and was a little bit chaotic.
Needed that
psychotic.
Adrenaline back.
Needed that adrenaline with dirt bikes back in like 2005 and had a gnarly get off down at Cycle Ranch in Floresville. So
what's a gnarly get off?
Gnarly get off.
That means something else in the Navy.
So at Cycle Ranch, they had this like, well, you've traveled like different countries and seen different
I'm just
women.
asking.
So a gnarly get off might imply something pretty.
Gay?
That's what I just implied. That's not what I implied.
Only Navy references are gay references.
Yeah.
All right. It's only queer on the
Sorry, Dad. I'm a Navy brass.
But they had this uphill double that went into like this off chamber breaker that shot you into like 110 foot downhill triple. Mm-hmm. Well, when I was on a YZ250 at the time. I came down, hit that breaker, and slipped off the foot pegs and literally pinned it in third gear. And I was probably about 35 feet up in the air off the ground and was like, oh, there goes the first landing. Oh, shit, there goes the second landing. There's the corner. So I'm like, I literally am supposed to be turning, and I'm still like probably 15 feet in the air. So I said, and just like literally threw the bike. And when I landed, both my knees like compressed up into my chest and literally just knocked all the air out of me and pretty bad.
So could you explain the first half of that in English?
No, se habla español por aquí.
Oh, gracias, señor.
But then kind of transitioning into soccer, I had to wear a knee brace like my sophomore, junior, senior year. And got redshirted, had full ride scholarships to go to D1 schools to play soccer. And it didn't end up going to play. And where I ended up playing professional soccer was actually playing men's league here at Star Soccer Complex. And our coach just so happened to have connections and sent me up there for a walk on. And that was it. They signed me for 6 months. Fucking pay was like $600 a month. Yeah. They kept me in a hotel down near 6th Street. And it was over from there.
Now you're there to party.
Now I'm here to party.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're here to shit up.
Hell yeah.
Well, I mean, you're with a group of dudes. Like, I mean, there's like 15 of us.
Oh, I know.
16 of us.
Yeah.
It's like, we're here to shit up.
Yeah, it was like pulling into port.
Yeah.
In Seychelles. It's crazy.
I mean, so you probably have some wild college experience. Do you play college or you play high school? You play college.
Both, yeah.
I tell you, those college girls, dude, they're gnarly.
I mean, I was pretty grounded in college. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I did discovered what weed was. That was crazy.
It was totally tubular, dude.
Dude, it was so freaking cool.
Bunch of gnarly get-offs.
Still can't roll.
That's okay.
No, I was pretty grounded in school. Like, I was raised differently, so I worked 2 jobs in college. I was a dual sport athlete going to school. Did what is it? Work study? Yeah, I worked for the soccer team too. Washing like the bibs and stuff, those fucking rank. I would not.
Gosh.
I refuse to wash the boys. You would have thought they used them as jock straps because they smelled that bad. Yeah.
My wife pulled a pair of when I first met her. This was in 2012. I was still playing. Like I still went and played men's league and stuff. I had left some of my soccer socks in the bag.
Oh no!
And they had been in there for like a year.
Yeah.
And because I hadn't played in a while.
Oh, I could smell it.
And she pulled the sock out. And it was stiff, not for you know what reasons, but it was stiff just from having like the mud and water like sit and bake on it. And she's like, "Oh gosh, no wonder that house smelled like mold."
Oh, yeah.
But
I can only imagine that now.
Could you imagine the bibs?
No,
like Cherokee doesn't make you leave your boots in the garage.
I wear solid socks.
Do you have like one of those humidifiers you put your boots on?
No, I use Dickies socks, and they're very thick and absorb sweat.
And this episode of Truth Disorder is brought to you by Dickies.
Thank you, Dickies. You're my favorite Dickie.
We're looking for sponsors, FYI Dickies.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I can only imagine those bibs. And then having to do you probably had to do the laundry too.
Yeah, we wash the jerseys. Socks are the worst. You wash the socks separately from the jerseys, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, but the boots are even worse. Ugh.
Yeah, boots are bad.
Did y'all's college actually have like a boot wall where you hung your boots, let them air dry?
Are those soccer shoes?
Yeah, they're called boots.
No, I mean we took our own.
Well, they're soccer cleats, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, but you put your boots on.
If you want to use English terminology, they say boots.
Were you superstitious about like which one you put on first? Like were you sock shoe, or you sock shoe?
I was actually
a good argument.
I was sock shoe.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
just
weird.
with soccer cleats?
And I only taped.
What if there's a fire?
And I didn't.
One shoe?
I never used medical tape. I used electrical tape on my
always.
left
It's the
shin.
best. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I had some hairy ass legs. I'm hairy like a monster. Oh, you hairy like a monster, Austin Powers.
Love you long time.
But I used to have to shave my legs because I would literally put like electrical tape around there.
Yeah,
when you pull it off, it was like, and you're like, oh.
Wait, you weren't doing it over the sock?
No, I used to do it around my. I never taped my socks.
Why not? How'd you keep your shin guards up?
My shin guards stayed up because they were taped to my shin.
I got knee guards
under my socks.
I had knee sweat like a bitch.
It's gross. Yeah. Soccer people are gross.
Hustlers.
Y'all are weird.
At least we know how to break a sweat, man.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's so funny. I always tell my wife some wild stories. She's like, y'all are fucking gay. Like y'all did that shit on the y'all did that shit on the field. Like we'd literally be getting in like formation for like a corner kick, and you know what you do to get the guy like away from you? You'd stick your finger up his ass like this.
No way.
Shove up. Like
no way.
Oh yeah.
We used to call that the pool holes.
The chicks probably did it too.
No, it was more elbows.
Yeah, they used elbows.
Yeah, we'd call
or
that
like pinching, like we'd pinch.
we'd be like poo holes. That's what we did.
Now you do bean dip and ranch dip. When
you know what sport is so aggressive that you wouldn't even think of it? Cross country. My first year running cross country, I caught like 6 elbows to the gut on the startup line because like they're trying to break away and like
that's catty.
Yeah.
So one of our trainers
shoved a couple in the woods when like you duck off in the woods on the dirt path. I push
You're like,
hey,
come here,
George Bush.
have a nice fall, Humpty Dumpty. No, but
nice fall, ready for winter.
It was funny because we were playing. I was playing like U13 at the time, and we had a Jamaican trainer, and he literally taught us like all the dirtiest tricks in the book.
Your Rossclot.
Like nobody wanted to play us because we were dirty. Mm-hmm. Like he was like, most guys run like this. You guys are going to run with fist. Mm. And it was because when you ran with fist, if somebody was coming up next to you, just dead leg him or like, sorry, ref. Didn't know what happened to him, like fucking nutsack. Like, and they would just like drop to their knees and the ref's like, what the fuck just happened? Mm. I don't know.
Then he comes after you and it's like flag.
What's so funny though,
this trick in the book.
They card you.
People think that like soccer is so like not physical. But like the elbows, the fists, like the random punches. Like I remember we were playing Reagan. It was like in high school, and there was a keeper by the name of Craig. And
I just want to punch him in the face for having that name.
Craig, he's awesome, dude.
Weird goalie name.
He was number 1 keeper in the nation at the time. He played for Reagan.
Not if I punched him in the face.
And I was the only one to score on him that year. And they got the name wrong in the newspaper. Fuck those guys.
Your name?
No, they gave the goal to somebody else.
Oh.
But anyway,
that's the worst.
We were on a set piece and the cross came in like low driven. And I just so happened to like fall behind like the second defender right by like the 6-yard box. And it was like literally just a header into the side corner. Like just put it in the net. But the first time I ever went up against Craig, he came out with like double fists on a corner, like on a corner. And I'm going up for a header, and I'm looking at the ball, and it's just like, dude,
punch out,
You're like, oh,
and they fucking get away with it, too.
Oh, yeah.
They fucking get away with it. They always protect the keeper. It's like the quarterback.
There's no instant replay, so you can get away with a little bit more.
No, but that was and I always used to tell people like these crazy stories, like you'd get hit in the face. Like there was one game where literally my jersey was just torn, like down the collar because they literally just grabbed me because I turned on him and split 2 and took off. And like all he could do literally to stop me from being a one-on-one with the keeper was just grab me by the collar and fucking drag me down. But I think that was the actual Reagan game. I think I was getting fucking annihilated, beat up, dude. Tossed around like a rag doll.
Tossed like a salad.
Like literally had I got fucking tossed like a Roman salad.
You ever got a cleat to the face?
Oh, that was the worst.
I got a scar on my face from a cleat to the face.
The worst was having to play with broken toes. That was the absolute worst.
I've never broken a bone.
Really?
Never.
Ah, you're one of the lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember having to I would break like my little toe or like one of my middle toes. Mm-hmm. So I'd literally would take medical tape and just like wrap all my toes together and go out there and play. Like pop a couple ibuprofens and fucking get after it.
Yeah. You pop a couple what?
Ibuprofens.
What are those?
Fiends? You were fiending for the profiens?
Ibuprofen.
Oh, okay.
Profene.
Your Hispanic comes out.
I'm Hispanic. You know, it's funny. When I say chips, you think you think of chips. My name is Jeff.
You like it the way that ibuprofen tastes.
You like it the way that ibuprofen tastes. But no, it was some gnarly times playing soccer, and then it just got worse. Like as you like progressed and like went into college and like even playing semi-pro, those guys for that $600, dude, they were ready to die. I'm just like, holy shit, calm down, dude. They're like,
this is my shot.
This is my glory days.
Time, one shot to
you
prove
only
it.
have one shot to prove it. Don't you listen to Eminem?
There's vomit on his sweater already.
But no, like the cleats were the worst. I've been on the ground, got kicked in the face. Like that was one of the worst. The worst one is like when you would go to slide tackle somebody and they would like fake like they're gonna jump over you, and they would like just throw one foot down while you're sliding, and it's just like bottom of the cleat to the thigh or to the stomach or the chest. Like they would literally stomp you.
I wouldn't feel that till the next day.
Yeah. And then you wake up the next morning, your freaking chest is all like bruised and shit. You got Adidas marks on your. Yeah, it's not
worth it.
Some people just
Copas?
Yeah, were those kangaroo pumas like the real? That's real kangaroo leather. That rich kid.
Remember the CR7s when those came out?
Oh, those were so
dope.
The CR7s are dope. I always rocked the Preds though.
Yeah, the Preds were nice.
I got wide feet.
Remember the sock boots? Sorry, Gary, we're kind of going off.
No, it's fine. You guys nerd out. I'm making fun of you in my brain.
But it's your podcast.
I had like I went with the Adidas Predators. Like I went with the Preds all the way because I tried like the Nike Murcielagos and did the whole CR7s and all that other garbage. Not garbage, but all that other stuff. But I got Fred Flintstone feet. So
what are they called again?
Why don't you wear Copas?
Copas were good. I used to wear Copa. I used to wear I was a rich kid that had the Puma with the real kangaroo leather. I don't even remember those or not.
I've never heard of these. If you wore Pumas and you were playing around me, I'm you out.
Nah, you couldn't catch it.
Which ones did you wear?
I wore Adidas Predators. That's what I ended up wearing like in my later.
AKA the Ditties?
No.
The diddler.
Got some fucking diddler on there. The diddler. Take a diddler. No, but I have Fred Flintstone feet, so I always had trouble with cleats. And then on top of that,
busting out the side of them.
But just like the sole would come unglued from the side of the cleat, and then my fucking little toes like hanging out of my boot, and I'm just like, oh shit, I guess we're rocking this. Like, throw some duct tape around that. Like, yeah. So it was crazy. So Adidas Preds, I never really had any issues with. The only problem I had with the Preds is on some of their models, like the freaking traction on them sucked.
Yeah.
So, but
jeez,
there is a science to your boots, dude.
Yeah. There is.
Like, there have been some major flops when it comes to like professionals and sponsorships. Yeah. Like, I literally just watched a guy. I forgot he played for. Not Birmingham. He played for Tottenham. Mm-hmm. And he had a sponsorship. I forget the name of the cleat, but he literally went out the first half. And like every time he tried to pivot, he'd slip and fall. Where he literally at the end of at halftime took a photo of him throwing the cleats away in the trash can. And sent it to the sponsor.
Yeah.
It was like, you need to do better than this. I'm like, dude, I wish I could just throw cleats away. Shit, Preds were like $300. They were expensive at the time.
I'll tell you what, whenever I get sponsored by Dickies, I'm not doing that with their socks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any Dickies pants?
He's got
no Dickies pants. Big on Men's Warehouse now.
Yeah, you always talk about Men's Warehouse because there's a lot of men there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a warehouse for men, by men. See what I did there?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we should wrap it up right there on the first episode of Truth Disorder. Who wants to close it out? We need to come up with like an outro. We need to write an outro.
Yeah. Not today, though.
Because Ernest was late.
I was late. I'll take responsibility. Yeah, let's wrap it.
Yeah. That's a wrap.
Come back next week for another episode of The Truth Disorder, where we tell you nothing but the truth.
That's not the X-Files. That was way off.
But yeah, we'll bring you another episode coming at you. I'm Ernest.
Gary.
Tara.
See you later.